They're skipping the topic. We need to make that, I don't care. We need to do the topic better. I don't care where they live.
We need to turn it the other way to be
Yeah.
okay.
Kenny,
Okay.
you want me to hang on to this to remind you? Or
One of those. Thank you.
where are you going? I'll probably come, I'll handle this one real well. I won't handle that.
Guess Lauren decided to come.
Yep, he's signing in to speak.
Felt like I was
You better be
sitting on the
cautious of
floor.
what he said. Maybe he's gonna apologize.
Yeah.
Ready, Linda? I'd like to call the Morgan County Board of Commissioners meeting the April 21st to order. If you'd all stand for pledge of allegiance and a prayer, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you please bow your heads, please? Our Father and our God, we just can't thank you near enough, Father, for that great sacrifice that you give, for that pure and sinless Son that you had die on that cross for us, Lord. We thank you for the resurrection that we celebrated again yesterday, Lord, on his rising. We just thank you, Jesus, for all that you do for us. We ask that you please give us guidance and direction in all that we do throughout the rest of the day, Lord. We ask that you please let calmer heads prevail and just make the right decisions. It's not only pleasing in your eyes, but also in the taxpayers' eyes here, Lord. We ask it all in your precious Lord Jesus Christ's name. Amen. I'd like to acknowledge that we did receive the clerk's report, just for record. And then Mike Dillinger, redevelopment commission report. Is Chelsea here? I don't see her anywhere. You guys have had a chance to look over this for the RDC?
We just have to acknowledge it. Mr.
Acknowledge it?
Chairman.
Don't need a
Yes.
meeting? No motion?
Nope, just acknowledge that you received it.
We will acknowledge that we received the RDC report from the Morgan County Redevelopment Commission. Moving right on along, I know Monroe Township's here for their fire district, wanting a fire rate.
Hello, I'm Mike Wagner with Monroe Township Fire District.
Hi, Mike.
Evening. And I have Nikki Peters here tonight with Peters Franklin. She's going to discuss a resolution for you.
Oh,
Hi. Nikki Franklin, Peters Franklin, we're the financial advisor for the fire district. The fire district's here to receive your blessing to increase their maximum rate, or their cumulative fire rate to the maximum. Currently, it's like .0305, and they're asking to raise it to .033. Because they're a binding review unit, they have to come to you. The district did meet in March to approve it on their behalf, and are just going through the formal steps of getting your blessing as a binding review unit. Do you have any questions, concerns?
Looks like you're looking about increasing it about $1.30 per $150,000 home.
Correct.
Homestead, correct? You guys, I don't have any problems with it. Do you have any questions, concerns about it, guys?
no, I'm just glad you're kind of hanging in there with that.
We're trying.
Appreciate that.
Every penny helps, right?
Well, that means you're kind of watching the P's and Q's. Thank you.
Don't have any further questions or concerns from the board? Any from the audience? Monroe Township Fire District, any concerns that you have? Not here, none. I'd entertain a motion on this request from Monroe Township Fire District.
I'll make that motion. We approve this request.
Got a motion by Mr. Adams to approve the Monroe Township Fire District Fund request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Mike.
Memorandum of Understanding. I know Trish is not going to be here tonight. I don't think Dr. Broderick's here. I know he signed the letter being chair of the board.
I've gone through those and reviewed them. I can speak to that if you want. In terms of the ultimate amount, there was an email. Did you receive the email from Ms. Rungan today? I can read that.
No, I did not.
Okay. So the first thing you need to know is of the 3 MOUs that you have in front of you, that's the MOU itself and its Exhibit A was prepared by me. The form was prepared by me, and it was approved by me. Deb will have to make a slight adjustment because each of them has what's referred to as an attachment B, but then says attachment A. So she will be making a notation to correct that. Tricia said she could not be here in person, but she wanted to share with you all.
I was involved in the committee that made those suggestions.
Don, did you want to take that and go
I'll
ahead and
just
talk about it?
mention briefly, I think the public needs to know that there was some money from the state, lots of money from the state for what's called the Health First for Indiana initiative. And there was quite a few applicants for funding for a variety of health concerned issues for the county. And Trish Rotnigan is our director of our health department, and she and a committee of, I was one that was kind of sitting and listening to these ladies. They had it all. They were very, very, it's people that were involved in evaluating the different requests that came up. And these were the 3 member, one is for the American Diabetes Association, which was pretty simple, but it's Project to Power Youth. And of course, diabetes is not just a problem for folks my age, but there is an issue with the health. The second one was First Response Wellness Foundation. We really examined that very closely. It was an amount of $58,000. And it was gone over its therapy sessions. They cost $115 a piece. And some of the money was going for that. We felt it was very a good use of the purpose that the General Assembly had lined out for us. The one that I really was interested in seeing was out at the Hall Civic Center for a fitness courts. That side of the county is kind of, well, they have a park in Monrovia, but, and we've got parks other places around, but this health center is quite a nice little thing that the whole community can get involved with. And it was, well, I think it'll get a lot of use. I think the people out there in that Hall Civic Society are really kind of getting a lot of the money from the Alumni Association, Monrovia Alumni Association. So the program looked very good. It was $150,000. That is not Morgan County tax dollars. That's money that comes from the state. So I would move that we go ahead and approve these memorandums of understanding. They've been examined quite closely by a committee with our health department and our health people. And I happen to just kind of be sitting there and learning as much as anything. So they've been thought out, and we had a few that didn't get anything, but these are ones that we thought were worthwhile. So I move that we go ahead and approve these memorandums of understanding that Trish has sent to us.
We got a motion on the floor by Mr. Adams to approve all three of the MOUs that's been sent to us. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Collier. Any further discussion from the board? I will make one statement. I know Randy Marsh pretty good from the Hall Civic Association that's here tonight. I did talk to him. I had a little bit of concern there, just making sure, but on the whole project though, it's 30,000 of it is gonna come from it's coming from another organization. And Randy, if you would like, I'd let you to come up and tell just a little bit about that organization you've been working with, if you would, just for the public's sake.
Yeah, thank you. We've been working on this for a good while and get a lot of good interest. And I think we don't have much out in that community. And I think it'll pull like Eminence, Monrovia, Wilbur, and a lot of the other communities into our location. We have the land, let's make use of it. And so we got 8 acres working there we want to work towards. And the National Fitness Association been a big hand already, 30,000. And we're looking here too. And I don't see a problem in raising the funds we need. I think the Hall Civic should be able to take care of that. And we've been 20 years now in that location, so I'll throw that out there. Anything else, Kenny?
No, I just couldn't remember, but the National Fitness Campaign, who was the one doing the $30,000 grant, and I couldn't remember that, Randy, so I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I talked to Tricia with them, and I don't have a problem with them, but I wanted to give Randy. Is anybody here from the First Response Wellness Foundation or the American Diabetes Association that would like to say anything? Thank you, Randy.
Thanks, Randy, for all you're doing out there.
Anybody here from the public that wants to address anything on these three memorandum of understandings for these three groups? They're really trying to further the health of Morgan County, and I think it's a great thing. Most of it is all state funded, except for that National Fitness Campaign. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. And thank you, Randy. Thank you for the Board of Health for working with the groups to help provide that. So we also have a resolution supporting the National Fitness Campaign in front of you. Ann, would you like to speak about this, whether we need to do this, whether it's necessary or not, since we already did the motion?
So I reviewed the packet and I reviewed the MOU and the documents attached to the MOU, and I don't see a benefit of creating confusion through the additional resolution here, which could potentially be read to be broader than the authority that we're giving in the other documents. So I don't think you need it to be effective. My understanding also is that it's optional.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to make it on record. Thank you so much.
But I don't vote, I just advise, so you'll want to maybe discuss.
It's up to you folks. I don't think it's necessary, but if you guys or the Board of Health thinks it's necessary. Deb, did she really? Because I didn't ask her if it was necessary, but I don't think it is either myself. Yeah. Moving right on along, I know Mr. Mike Dillinger's here from the Morgan County Economic Development Corporation.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Mike Dellinger with the Morgan County EDC, and the reason I'm here this evening is because late last year, the first of this year, we forgot to present you our contract for this year. So Deb reached out to me and reminded me that we needed to have our contract come up with you. And here we are, just a few months late, but not a dollar short. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have of me regarding that contract. As you know, it's a $75,000 annual contract with the county. Basically, our big three are our largest investor. Our second largest investor would be the town of Mooresville. Right behind them is the city of Martinsville. And then a number of private businesses that are partners with us as well. So we appreciate your support, allowing us to do economic development work for you as you request. And we would ask that you renew that contract now for the first quarter and for these remaining 3 quarters of the year.
Any questions for Mr. Mike?
No question, just compliments. I think, I look at, from a old farmer's point of view, I did some of that. This is seed money. And you are doing a great job of getting crops that's going to make the property taxes lower, make the jobs better, and the schools bigger. Appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything else? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
I've been busy doing, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve this Economic Development Corporation 2025 Economic Development Service Agreement, please.
We got a motion by Mr. Adams to approve the Morgan County Economic Development Corporation 2025 Economic Development Service Agreement. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Collier. Any further questions from the board or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0, and thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rogers is not going to be here tonight. Is that what I heard?
No, he's ill, and I'm covering that jail agreement, which was not in your original packet, but Deb has provided it to you, I think.
Yep.
You have it handy?
No, I got it in my desk. Deb's got a copy available on them. Now, this has been on the agenda a couple of times, and the sheriff and Dave's talked about it.
Yep, so the last time, we had, last meeting, Dave Rogers was here and he spoke to you all about the need for this assignment agreement to continue the services that we're receiving in terms of healthcare from the jail. And what I believe happened, although I haven't spoken to him directly, I've read this document and I'm not necessarily surprised by this. The addition here is to add language whereby Morgan County consents to the assignment and make that clear and make you all signatories to the agreement, and included in there is the language to do that. So this is just the last step in carrying out and crossing the Ts and dotting the Is on the agreement, that it's not a separate agreement or a different agreement. It's just what's needed to do to make it all legal.
Any questions for Ann? On here, no.
And that is true, because I talked to Dave before I came over here tonight, so that's exactly it. You're right,
Well, I'm
spot
glad
on.
it was true. I hate to think I was lying to folks here
No,
tonight.
no, you're spot on, yeah,
This is what we started, last summer?
yeah.
Yes, but there was a change in circumstances in terms of the employment relationship, and so we needed this assignment so that they could assume all the liability and so forth under the, and the payments. And I think the original contract that was, or original assignment agreement that was set up was just between the assigning party and the party is accepting, and somebody caught that we needed to have you guys sign off as accepting it, so you couldn't come back later and say we didn't approve that.
We want you to go down with me.
It would have been a,
Honor.
Yeah, congratulations.
Go down with the sheriff.
considering you approved the agreement in an open meeting last meeting, it probably didn't need to be done, but that's okay. I never mind some lawyer telling them that they need an assignment clause.
You know, Sheriff, when I come down from Mooresville, I always go by the old jail. And as you know, I think I've mentioned to you, my grandfather used to be a deputy sheriff over there. Every time I go by, I look at those windows, which were probably cells. I've never been in it. And I'm thinking, you know, 100 years ago, and that's when he was doing his stuff, probably about 100 years ago, those guys were just getting fed. That's all we did. Bring them in, lock them up, feed them. Now we're taking care of them, making sure they don't come back.
Trying to.
And looking at their health, and it's a whole new ballgame. And I'm glad to see it.
But
I
I'm
guess you
dating
say when
myself
we-
too, Don, because I've took people to that old jail, so tells how long I've been doing this business too. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Brian, you're right. We did, this was executed back in August 5th of last year, and we've been going back and forth, just making sure that the attorneys are all happy and the right people are signing these. So.
And since Commissioner Adams went on the record as saying that he's never been in the jail, I want to go on the record. I was in official capacity as a fireman assisting. It's the only time I've ever been in, and those windows are even smaller from the inside looking out. Get very claustrophobic in there. So what
Open it up.
action needs to be taken to adopt this assignment agreement?
Need a
Go
motion
ahead and
to
just give
approve.
us a motion.
Motion that we accept the assignment agreement as presented.
We got a motion to accept the assignment agreement as presented. I'll second the motion. Any further questions from the board? Or from the audience? Not hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Puts us down in old business, the White River Greenway Master Plan, and I'm just gonna get started to start with. I've talked to a few people today. I've talked to several people since it did come up. I don't want to lose friendships over on something like this. I don't have a bit of problem sending it back to the committee, having them strip the maps out of it. As far as preferred 5 routes to the north, I don't have so much of a problem with, but it sounds like there's a lot of problem with getting farther south after you get down too far past Cragen Road, really. But that's just my 2 cents on it, to send it back or deny it. I mean, that's up to you guys. If you want to open it back up and listen to everything, that's just where I'm coming from. And I know you've got a lot of people here that I'm going to call up in a little bit anyway, but I just giving you the opportunity to do that, or if you want to go ahead and just listen to everybody and
Well,
I'm not against listening to anybody that takes the time to come to a public meeting, and I'd like to welcome you all here if this is the first time you've been here. I strongly encourage everybody to participate in their local government. Again, this was a guideline. It's not set in stone, but I understand after our last meeting where many felt threatened and a lot of the issues were not addressed, Mr. Cragen brought up, and I had stated back in the early years when the Saigon 500 was getting sprayed out of the spray plane in the bean field next to the cornfield that I was detasseling, how I blistered up. And so I understand the concerns of the farmers. I understand the concerns of safety issues. I think a plan like this needs to address those more before we vote on them. This was kind of new to me. I've learned a lot. I see as a property owner where you could feel as if we're infringing upon your personal rights of your property. It was just a guideline. There was no eminent domain. We were not taking your property. We were not paving your cornfield to have people walk up and down it. So it was just a guideline that, and the only thing, my last little asterisk is I've always thought it would be cool to have a path that goes from the Waverly Park and the kayak ramp, is what I call it, the boat ramp, down to the Henderson Ford boat ramp. Only because so many people kayak in that stretch of White River. We've tried to do that for 10 to 15 years and haven't pulled it off. So when it comes to a time frame or, and then look at the cost that they projected at this. Senate Bill 1 changed everything. There's no secret money anywhere to do any of this. So if anything, you guys are about to see a lot of services cut, not extension of trails. So with that said, I would move that you send it back. This group needs to consider the concerns of the property owners, and they need to advertise alternative routes, because if somebody doesn't want, if Mr. Voiles here doesn't want it going across his property, we need to have alternative routes to keep the trail feasible. And if you can't do it, then it does no good for us to have this type of, if there's a stop in the trail, this makes no sense to have a trail. So to me, why it's a concept and it's a long-range visual plan going forward, and everybody should know that, I would think as citizens in your community, you would compliment having a long-range plan. But I also understand when that long-range plan is a trail through your backyard, you may not agree with those long-range plans. So with that, I would send that back and take the concerns that were expressed at the last meeting, and anybody that wants to talk at this one, feel free to do it. But at this time, I cannot vote for this plan. And I would vote to send it back.
I'll second, but I want to comment on one thing too. I've talked to several people, And one of the things that I thought was missing was, we have regulations on when somebody's going to change zoning on your property. There's so many people with such a distance. You get a letter, oh God, I got a letter from the attorney, what's going on? And so we notify people, but most of you guys, how many of you got notified with a letter? And anybody get notified by letter? How many found out through the newspaper? Good old newspaper.
That's where it was advertised.
And then, I don't want to even bring up social media because it's usually not very social, but it also is a vehicle by which we find information, sometimes good, sometimes misleading. So I don't know how we do this in the future, but I definitely want to make sure that we have notification that people don't have to find out like we're doing something behind your back. So that's one of the things I'm going to try to encourage and support. So we'll send it back.
And we did advertise it, but it's in the newspaper. We only had 2 twice. We tried to have 4 workshops, scattered them around. One of them was going to be at Old Town Waverly Festival, but because of the bad weather, we canceled the festival and that one didn't take place. The rest of them were here in this room. So, but
Here's that list. If anybody wants
Yes.
to talk, they should be able to.
I want to listen to all of you anyway, so I'm not going to call for a vote right now, but I'd be more than glad to. You guys would like to see a vote on this motion. It's already been first and seconded, but I don't have a problem listening because I think everybody ought to have their day to say anything that they want to say in a public meeting. So if you want, I'll just start reading down the list, or show of hands, the ones that just want to call the vote today and turn this down right now. Send it back. I'm just going to go down in order then. Basically, a couple minutes if you would. Try not to duplicate what everybody else is saying. Sam Lassiter. Come on up, Sam. Not a problem.
Where this came from, I read about it in the newspaper. We have spent years developing recreational facilities here in this county and done a good job. It's a pie in the sky. You mentioned, what's happened to the State House now with Bill 1. And so I see this as a possible burden on the taxpayer.
Yep. Thank you, Sam. Any questions for Sam? Thank you, Sam. Otis Pugh. Odie. Oh. Thank you, sir. Dave, I know you're here again. Ferguson? Marcella Smith, I believe. Come on up. Marcia Smith, sorry.
Folks, if you don't come to the microphone, the people that are watching online can't see you or can't hear you,
Can't
nor
hear
can
you.
our reporter.
You got that right, absolutely. Yep. Any questions for Ms. Smith? Thank you. Sierra Smith? Susan?
Young lady, I'm going to ask you just to, I think, is it a battery issue, or do we just need to pull it down? Okay.
Goldsberry? I think it's Goldsberry.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Some long-winded politician must have been speaking into it last night or the day before.
Oh, somebody just said you don't need a microphone. You must not have an inside voice.
Check, 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 check.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Sierra Smith, so I live next door to my in-laws, Marcia and Clifford Smith. My main thing is just safety concerns that she brought up. I have a teenage son and my husband. We have deer blinds on our property. I would be concerned for public safety, people coming out to hunt. Marcia mentioned the property taxes. You know, we've paid for that property, and we don't want people just coming out and infringing on our property. So, and then also the issue of being notified. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm basically in my pajamas. I learned about this meeting about 30 minutes before it actually happened. So I would just suggest that, yeah, it be thrown out. And at the very least, we get some kind of proper notification, certified mail, you know, something, because it's very upsetting to come in and, you know, have people calling you, your neighbors, telling you, like, did you know that this is going on, and having no clue. So that would just be my suggestions. Thank you.
Any questions for Sierra? Susan Gosborough, thank you. Diana Jennings, I believe. Okay. Thank you. Lamar Griggs.
You're here with me too. Although I don't have, in quotes, a dog in this fight, there was a time when you guys had talked about using the railroad track that goes behind our house to make a trail. And I thought at first, well, that'd be really, really cool, a gay raw environment. But I am with them. When you presented this at the last meeting, the thing that kept coming into my mind was, how do you address the safety? And I think if you want to sell a project like this, safety is going to have to be number one or number two, one or the other. Because even though I'm not along White River, we get enough where I am, and we are a dumping ground for Indianapolis, and I've had stripped cars on my road, so they don't need to know how to get to us. So that is it, and people dumping. Kayaking, yes, is a concern, because I know there are a bunch of people that kayak, not only on White River, but on White Lick, that goes behind the house. And there is kind of a safety issue even in that, in somebody taking a pot shot at them from someplace or getting hit by a hunter or something. So, yeah, safety and, you know, notification that some of us don't get. So, all right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lamar.
Jim Griggs. He don't. Looks like Joe Crone. Isaac Duckworth.
No,
Well, nobody can hear you if you say it from there.
Got it. You'll make it.
Don, I'm glad that you brought up that you were an old farmer from Morgan County, because I'm a young farmer.
I'm glad you are.
I'm glad you are too.
And
I'm all about chickens.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I speak for every old and young farmer that this affects. This needs to be denied right here. It is too much of a safety concern, and this is our well-being, our life. And you guys, or whoever is wanting to put a trail through it, it's not a good idea. So it needs to be denied right here. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Looks like Bailey Fowler, I believe.
Well, I might be the smallest dog in this fight, but I'm not a farmer. I just own a little bit of ground there off Old State Road 67. And
Can you pull that mic up a little bit? Thank
that
you.
better.
There you go.
And whenever I heard about this, it was about 2 hours ago, and it was basically driving right through the middle of my backyard, about not even a stone's throw, less than 100 feet. And it really concerns me with having people standing that close to my back door where I'm supposed to feel safe. I know the highway's there, but at least it's far. And I stand with the rest of the farmers and everybody here. I think it needs to be shot down now. I don't feel safe about it, and I don't see anybody here that does. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for him? Nope. Clint Cragen.
Thanks again. I think I said everything I really intended to say at the last meeting. However, after looking at the plan and I look at the idea of using the railroad right-of-ways or easements from utilities or ground, right-of-way along a county road, it kind of brought together another thing at the last meeting that, gentleman had said that you're not going to take any property or use eminent domain, but, using somebody else's right-of-way or somebody else's easement is kind of a de facto taking of my property. I still have fee simple ownership of that easement. I may have granted that to the utility company, but when we did that, we thought that was just for some power poles. We never once considered that would be for a purpose other than that. And so that would just, poke, top of my liability issues that Brian kind of affirmed. That was just as another dynamic that I think that we need to be cognizant of and add to the list of considerations that we need to address. So thank you.
Any questions for Clint? Thank you, sir. Norm Bowles Jr.
Couple of things that I'd like to address. One of them, I think, is as you could see here today, the lack of folks being informed about this ahead of time. I mean, that's a serious issue. Putting it in the paper anymore isn't good enough. There's a lot of folks don't get the paper. So, somehow make it known. Social media, you say, Don, that's a bad thing sometimes and it's a good thing sometimes. Maybe that's the way you got to go with some of this stuff. I don't know, but try and figure something out. And certainly as I looked at it real quickly, the list of folks who were involved in making this up, I didn't know any of them to speak of that were landowners involved significantly in trying to establish this greenway. And certainly a a plan isn't a bad thing, but making sure that those folks that are directly involved with land ownership throughout the county are involved and notified by mail or something directly so that they know, several months ahead of time that some of this stuff's going on. That seems to be a challenge with most of these folks today.
Any questions for Norm Jr.? Thank you, Norm. Cody Clarkston. Hello.
I'm not going to say much. My grandma lived in Waverly. Her house was taken by eminent domain to put the park in.
We did not take it by eminent domain.
She was pretty much forced out. She was one of the last people there in Waverly. She was forced out. My other part of that is I hunt the farm there in Waverly, and I can see people walking that trail as I'm hunting in my deer stand. That is a serious, serious problem. Okay, you see it every day, shootings on TV, people getting shot, and you guys are wanting to run a trail from Waverly to Henderson Ford Road. Just blows my mind. And the other thing is, we were not notified. I found out by a phone call 20 minutes before this meeting was even supposed to happen. It's unacceptable.
The only thing I'm going to say, Cody, and I greatly appreciate you signing up and coming down and talking. We do have all the FEMA records downstairs on the buyouts. Everybody that signed it, FEMA would not buy them out if we didn't have voluntary participation. I couldn't even put them into a grant. So saying she did not sign that, that's not accurate, and I can pull them files up for you, sir. I mean, we got to retain them for so many years. And I think the world of your grandmother. Margaret's a nice lady, and I got a lot of respect for her and your family all. About this meeting, we advertised in the paper, and as far as the trail meetings, we advertised in the newspaper, and they got advertised on the park website only. And we had to in the newspaper, and they did that twice before every meeting, I believe. Correct, Deb? Yeah, so. Lauren Moore. John Duckworth. Bill Duckworth.
Mr. Duckworth, with all due respect, does this make you the old farmer?
Yeah, it does.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, good to see you, Brian,
Yeah.
Don, Kenny. I mean, you guys are all my friends, but, yeah, if I'd heard about this on April 1st, I'd have thought it was an April Fool's joke. You know, it's just silly. You guys wasted a world of time and a world of money on this already, and don't send it back for revision. Just deny the darn thing and get on with your lives. This thing's a joke. All right, that's basically it.
Thank you.
Any questions for Bill? Thank you. Dave Allison. Good evening, Dave.
Like most of the other people, I found out about an hour ago. Left work, come down here. I looked at the 60 whatever page document. So I've had an hour to prepare, so I'm not too prepared, but some of the things that just hit me right off, notification that everybody's talked about. Paper, nobody gets paper anymore. I don't know. I got it for years. When it got down to like 4 pieces of paper, it wasn't worth paying them, you know? So notification, you ought to do it like Don brought up, zoning or something. If you're gonna affect my property and the adjacent property owner, the guys across the street, you should send out certifieds, make sure everybody knows what's going on, what you guys are gonna do for us, allegedly. So notification's a huge deal. If you don't deny it today, really need to do something about notification. Cost, millions and millions and millions of dollars, guys. I mean, and it's river bottom at floods. 2 weeks ago, they're cleaning up the Waverly one right now, scraping all the mud out. In their proposal, like I say, I've only had an hour, but so many to be determined. They got that estimated millions of dollars of cost and to be determined. 3 bridges. Them are millions of dollars apiece, but it's still to be determined. That's not in the number that's in your thing yet. Gravel pass. Every time the river comes up, the gravel's junk. You're gonna have to scrape it all out and replace all that gravel. Labor, manpower, cost. It's crazy. I mean, if you think about the maintenance ongoing, if you do this, how many millions is that gonna be every year to us? If you take I got over a mile of river property that is affected this. Waverly Section 3, that's all I printed out and that's all I read. It's over a mile of my farmland. If you want mine, I want it fenced. Martin Marietta got a fence when you put that trail up. You'd have to fence it. None of that's in that proposal. There's nothing about fence. There's a bunch of money there. How many miles total? Was it 28 or a lot? A lot of fence. Been in Waverly my whole adult life. Moved there when I was a teenager. All the cars you see in the park, the vast majority of the cars you see in the park on a daily basis, I go by it 3 or 4 times a day. Johnson County plates, Marion County plates. If you go in there any given day, I challenge any of you, just go in there, start looking at license plates in the parking lot for the trail. Vast majority of them, 75% or more, are not from our county. They're Johnson County people coming in and use it, Marion County people coming in and using it, that kind of stuff. The trail in Indianapolis, the Monon, highest crime rate area is on the Monon Trail. And I can speak, and the sheriff can speak to this, I know he knows. Many times when we've had runs or situations in Waverly where people have went on the trail and just took off down the trail, they can't pursue them, they're just like, well, they're somewhere out there, we can't pursue them. So how are they gonna track these guys down if they're nefarious doing stuff? Eminent domain. This board voted, it took my boat launch that I built in Waverly. Eminent domain. You do use eminent domain. You got an appraisal that was 20 grand or something. What was it, Kenny? How much was it appraised for?
I don't remember, Dave, what it was.
18, 19, 20,000. When I got done with you, you paid me over 100,000 and you spent over 200,000 in attorneys. And I guarantee every one of these farmers is gonna be like me, and they're gonna call the Cadillac people up in Carmel, and it's gonna cost you millions more to get that land. Because they're not ignorant. That's all I got to say.
Question.
Deny it today. Just vote, be done, and put it on the shelf and mark it up to a bad mistake.
Delina Smith.
I'm Delina Smith. I represent my family, which is Smith Family Farming. Don, thank you for taking my call today and listening to my concerns. I appreciate it. We're a 6th generation farm that's been over 100 years at our particular spot. We're in Section 12, and on the proposed map, where items 4 and 5 would impact both our Smoky Row 200 acres as well as our 90 acres over on the Man Road area. We have a total of 500 acres, but that's what would be impacted with this. My children use this as jogging. My son uses it for hunting, ATV riding. We have already problems with our levees and maintaining them to keep the river from flooding out our portions of our land. We spent over $70,000 the last time we had a levee breach. So, if the proposal's going directly over those levees, so that would prevent us from doing what we need to do to maintain our levees, et cetera. So I'm kindly asking you to kill this right here and there, because I guarantee you if it moves forward, it's not gonna be the end of a lot of people in this room. I'm sure, possibility of legal action or whatever, and I think that's just a waste of taxpayer money to do that. because I know for one thing, I'm not going to sell my land, period. End of discussion. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions for him? You got a motion and a second on the floor, and Brian, would you restate that motion before we go any further?
I think I'm going to rescind my motion,
Don, do you rescind your second?
but let me expand with this board. As an elected official, this is a leadership position that gets elected every 4 years. I encourage many people who want to complain. I will show you how to file to sit up here. I will help you earn the right to sit up here. But I will tell everybody in this room just a few things. My number one mentor, his son is sitting in this room. And we had many long talks. My dad worked for Farm Bureau Insurance for 39 years. If it wasn't for the farmers of this community, my dad would have never gotten the premiums to send me on to higher education. I own 173 acres on the river down in Paragon. So while I am labeled a city slicker because I live in the city of Martinsville, I probably have more property than any other city slicker that I know. And I can't keep the kayakers, I can't keep the people from coming off the river bottoms and building campfires on my sandbars, but they're really not my sandbars if you ask the DNR. And many a times I've gone down on my property with my dogs only to hear guns, especially during duck season. They'll come in off the water on duck and they don't realize that if you're on a hunt duck, you have to stay in your boat. You're not allowed to come up on the dry land. And I don't chase them a whole lot because they got guns, but I've warned them about, you're on private property. So I respect all your concerns, and I want to apologize on this. I kind of like the certified notification, similar to what you would have in a zoning. But back to being an elected official, my biggest job, and my number one goal is to make this community better to where my 3 children would want to come back. Whether they do or not, that's up to them. But I want to give them opportunities and a reason to come back. So why I will rescind this, because this has been blotched and this is not going well at all. I refuse to fail to plan, because if you fail to plan, you might as well plan to fail. And so I am constantly looking at things and expanding to have a better community, not only for the farmers and not only for the landowners, for everyone involved, everyone from our children to our 95-year-olds. We notify through social media, through the newspaper. There's not an ideal way of notification, but I can see when it comes to the infringement upon your property rights. And again, this was explained, this is just a plan, but I see where it's a threat to you. And now that respect that it's a threat to you, I'm going to rescind my original motion, but I'm going to back off. I'm not against trails. I'm not against making this a better community. I'm not against, for all of us who own the land along the river or where this trail may go, there may be hundreds of people that are calling us to walk those trails. But I get it. If you don't want, it's your land. I hunt my property. My biggest fear and why I don't let others hunt my property is I might shoot them. And I'm a pretty good shot, but I'm getting older and my eyesight's going. I don't want other people on my property, especially when I'm out shooting. And it may not be hunting season. I may be just out there shooting. So I understand property rights, and I understand protecting those property rights. I understand the cost. And for that reason, I think that we need to start all over on this. So if we do start it again. So I'm going to rescind my motion to revamp the plan. I'm going to leave it to Don to take over. I hear your frustration. And I wish there was a better way, maybe through more like a planning and zoning. If we do this again, you will be notified. This needs to be reinvented from the get-go, because I don't really think, if reading through this, it's a bad plan. I don't think that it's a bad concept. I think it was presented and brought to you wrong to where you guys were immediately put on the defense. I'm not on the defense, I'm on the offense because I'm always planning. So this first plan failed. And it failed because you guys spoke up. And I hope you guys stay active because this community's changing quickly. And this board's not going to be able to stop that. Mr. Voiles taught me, we talked about governmental 3% raises, and we talked about the day that bread would be $3 a loaf. It's here. When will it be $10 a loaf? I have a business over in Johnson County. Every time I jump over on and drive through there, I look at all that black soil that now is under roof and asphalt. We're closer to $10 a loaf of bread than further. And because of that, I respect what you farmers do. I don't understand it. I don't understand getting up at 4 in the morning, working to 10 at night, and hoping that you get enough rain and if you get a bumper crop, the prices go down, and if you don't get any crop at all, the prices go way up. So you guys make the same until you have to go buy a $800,000 combine. That doesn't seem to stay the same. And so I have the utmost respect because you guys paid for my college education, and I would never be sitting up here if I didn't have the farmers backing me originally. And out of respect to all the property owners, if we're going to do anything like this, we probably ought to do notifications a little bit and have some of you on the board versus maybe some of the others. So I'm going to rescind my original motion, Mr. Chairman.
Open it up for a new motion.
Well, I'm thinking, and that's kind of a bad thing, and sometimes you got to think. First of all, I want to talk to a young farmer, Duckworth. He came back.
Isaac.
When you were, I don't know if you were even around when where you are now living was going to be a reservoir. Indianapolis Power and Light bought up all the farmland. And I don't think you guys had a say so. It was just, well, they offered you money. They bought it. I mean, I guess you'd say they ended up with a lot of land that they were going to dam the White River and flood that whole valley. I don't know how that must have felt, especially if you lived in that farm forever.
I already felt like it did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, my uncle, Marvin Jenkins, was your neighbor. And I think when they decided that was a bad idea, we ended up with Burkhart Creek. So things, I was telling Diane today that we're all temporary and terminal. We don't know what's going to be coming 50, 100 years from now. What I'd like to do here on a motion, though, is put a moratorium. I guess that's the best way of describing it, and it could be 6 months, could be a year. I'm no hurry I think we've got lots of trails right now that I enjoy. I only ride my bike on mine. I ride out at Waverly, and I ride at Bloomington, I ride at Plainfield. And I suppose if I was a younger man, I'd hike the Appalachian Trail, which is, about 2,000 miles of trail. So what I'd like to do, I don't know how you feel about it, fellow commissioner, but if we put a moratorium on it for, let's say 4 years, 5 years, where there's some no-folks up here that might want to put into it, that might be a little bit of we'll see. I don't even know if I want to do a moratorium.
I would brother you go ahead and just deny it.
Just deny it. I'll just move to deny it. I think you're right.
We got a motion on the floor to deny the motion on the White River Greenway plan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion from the board? Thank you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for letting us know. I apologize again for the notification. HWC did the notification whenever we had all of our meetings, and we left it up to the professionals that did that. So I apologize there because I was on the committee. So, but I thank you for your turnout. Appreciate what you do for all of us. I mean, the farming community, that's what we're proud of, is our farming community here. That's what we got here. And I want to make sure that we try to maintain that farming community here. There's still a little bit of business to go. You got.
But real quick, if anybody can tell me how to keep everybody off their property, I'll be here after the meeting.
Good luck on that one.
Mean dog.
You got 4 tort claims in your packet. Entertain a motion on them.
I take the motion that we send the tort claims on to our insurance carrier.
Second.
Down, Adams seconds the motion. All those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Mr. Adams, for the good of the county.
Oh, I think we saw the good of the county right here.
Yep.
And I thank you all for being a part of it. We don't ever all do things right.
Hold a moment.
I forgot one thing.
Oh, we got something?
I called somebody that was on the list, but he wasn't here for that thing.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Lauren Moore, this is your opportunity, sir. And I am so sorry. I thank Ann, the attorney, for reminding me.
That's my job.
Yes, it is.
Keep you guys out of trouble.
This is concerning the meeting you had on February the 24th where you approved the PDU for the data center there in the Monrovia area. And after the votes and everything, we all were very upset. But then when we were getting home and such, I started getting comments about somebody saying that I said the word "FU" at the end of the meeting. I don't use those words and such, but several people had heard it, and they were wondering why they had never heard me talking like that. But somebody was accusing me of saying that.
I never heard that.
Well, there's several people that contacted me that said they heard somebody say that. And anyway, I don't appreciate being accused of talking that way because I do not use that type of vocabulary. So I'm just wanting to make sure that everybody that can hear this knows that I don't talk that way, and I do not appreciate being accused of that.
The meetings are recorded, so I mean, and I'm sure it wasn't,
Well-
I'm sure you didn't say that either, but
So that's the only thing I wanted to say. I wanted to get it out here in the public because like I said, there were several people that contacted me. And I know there was a lot of people that were upset the way that vote went, but I don't talk that way.
I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, anything else for the good? If not, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by
Hang on.
saying aye.
Hang on, they're already.
Okay.
Hello, Commissioners. It's good to see you. I'm Carol Dunphy with the Morgan County Democratic Party and also the Morgan County Democratic Women's Group. We're here tonight for just a couple of reasons. One thing, to commemorate Earth Day. We wanted to express our concerns about the coal ash being discharged into the White River up at Eagle Valley Generating Power Station. And that we understand that there may be a plan. Hoosier Environmental Council is taking that to suit, and there is a plan somehow to clean that up. And we just wanted to, in commemoration of Earth Day, to say that we do have concerns about that coal ash, about how it's even stored, and that it's discharged into the White River, affecting wildlife. And Martinsville's already been through so much with plumes of contamination within the town that we just don't really need that too. I'm not sure what the ramifications all are, but we certainly have serious concerns. And then we don't want it to end up on the taxpayers' back either, because it had nothing to do with the residents of Morgan County. It has all to do with government agencies allowing illegal activity, is from what I understand. So we're here to stand up for our earth and for the people that live on it. And the other reason that we're here today is there is an organization called 50 Protests and 50 States with One Movement, 5051. It's to uphold the Constitution and end executive overreach. And there's been protests across the nation on April 5th, on April 19th. I think the next ones, they're scheduled every couple weeks. It's not in our hands, but we are asking if maybe we could organize a rally in Martinsville, either on the courthouse square or maybe the administrative building. We know there's going to be some construction done at the courthouse. And we don't have really any firm dates about that or anything. We, just in the future, we know there's going to be probably 1 or 2 protests a month from this 5051 organization. And we're, as the Democratic Party here in Morgan County, we're participating in that. And then we'd like to know if we need a permit or if we
You don't need that.
who do we need to go to?
You can get a permit from Deb on the courthouse if you want to use that. It's kind of interesting you bring that up. I was kind of interested myself. Yesterday was what was that, the 19th? Well, it was the 19th, that was Sunday. No, Saturday was the 19th,
The
right?
No
God,
Kings.
I can't,
No
terrible about
Kings.
that. Well, I was a history teacher, and it doesn't sound like it right now. But in 1775, on April the 19th, 77 people like they're sitting around here, farmers, shopkeepers, and so forth, stood in front of 700 British soldiers protesting tyranny, protesting their rights like you guys are. That's what we do. And somebody shot, we don't know who. When it was done, there was 1 British soldier dead and 8 militiamen. I've been there. I'm not there at that time, but I've been on that green. And I understand that's what we start with. That's where we are. And I don't care what they're protesting. I mean, I do care, but that's a right of us. You know, that's part of what we do. If you don't like it, by golly, we'll just say, this is how we're going to do it. So you can get the application for using the courthouse square. I have no problem signing it. But you'll have to get the other, you know, that's our, I guess, authority as the commissioners. As
When
long
are
as,
they starting the construction?
I'm sorry?
When are they starting the construction of the
Oh,
courthouse?
the construction on that will probably start after July.
Okay.
The new dedication here will be about, I think, July the 2nd, I think is the date, but I might be wrong on that.
It's July 2nd.
July 2nd, that's
Is the ribbon cutting.
the ribbon cutting for this building.
The rest of the month is the transition from.
And then there'll be the movement, and then the courthouse will be emptied, and they'll come over here, and then there'll be construction started. So there won't be a lot of opportunities that we can permit, I guess you'd say, activities on the courthouse, including such things as fall foliage and things like that, because they're going to be building. So it depends on, but we'll give you the calendar, and if there's a time that it's not going to be used for whatever, and then if it is, then you'll have to find another spot that, of course, we don't control the city. Sometimes we wish we did, but that's not the way it works. So,
Well, Carol and I have attended several rallies, and everyone we've been to, Indianapolis, Bloomington, Brown County, we had over 200 people in Brown County.
Yeah.
Brown County's pretty red too. And everywhere we've went, they were saying, you got Democrats in Morgan County? Yeah, and we got.
Well, it's not just Democrats that are protesting.
We got a lot of them.
I have 19 friends that went up there Saturday, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's some hacked off folks.
There are. And we just want to give people a voice.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
we
I
want people
respect
to
that.
go
That's
vote
America.
and watch what's going on. So we just wanted to know how we go about it here.
Well, you can try, if the courthouse is available, then we'll certainly look it over. And if it's not available, we'll say, yeah, nope. So, but then you'll have to find someplace else.
Right.
But that, you can do it anywhere, you know.
My sister's in a
Well,
little
no,
small
that's
town
wrong. I shouldn't say that.
in Illinois, and they did their first one last week with the blessing of the mayor. And they only had 14 people to start out with, but it's a little town, and and it was in the pouring rain. So
Yeah, it's been,
you know,
I think the 2 times you guys have had it, it's rained.
Yeah. Oh, we got
You're
really
very
wet.
fortunate, but
Yeah.
right now, it's really amazing how many people are involved.
Yeah.
I think they're telling like millions.
Deb Verley at the very end, she's who you need to get with in the commissioner's office, right across the hallway over here. She can walk you through and give you the application. Just fill it out and get it back into her.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so
And
much.
do you guys have any say-so on that coal ash mess up there?
Of the what?
The coal ash?
No, that's DNR.
Because what they're gonna do is end up raising our electric rates to clean that up, and you can see that coming down the
Yeah,
pipe.
that's, well, you know, it's kind of like, and I'm a little familiar with coal ash. At one point, it was, and probably still is. I expect it was used for fill. It was approved to use for fill. But it's like a lot of other things, the smarter you get, the more you realize it's screwed up. And I think that's kind of what happened with coal ash. My uncle was an engineer and built a lot of roads and highways and so forth. And it's probably in that, I would guess there's a lot of coal ash right out here between, on the 39 bypass. I wouldn't be at all surprised. I know there's 4 foot of it on Mooresville at the Southbridge, but they seal it over, and it's, if you keep it dry, it's not a big deal. The problem is with coal ash, if it gets wet or it gets moist, and it's got bad stuff in it, arsenic and things that you don't want. It's not as bad as some of the other evil things that we're finding out that we did that we shouldn't. We learn more about some of those situations. I could go on about that, and I better just kind of button it up, but.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank
Get
you,
with
Andrew.
Deb, and she can walk you through the process.
Yep. Thank you.
Commissioners, thank you.
If you guys haven't picked up yet, I'm very beatable up here, but if Don's family just votes for him, he's untouchable. He's related to everybody.
Not all, but a lot.
I move to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion, I'll second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming out.
What,
Get rid of some coffee.